Hi everybody, welcome to my introduction video. I'm Celeste. I'm a nationally certified interventionist, and interventions are a really crucial catalyst to help people stuck in the grips of addiction get into recovery and stay there. I became really passionate about doing interventions after an intervention was done on me and I came into recovery. And that was quite a long journey for me to get to that intervention. So I'll go a little bit into my history so that you know where I came from and where I'm going. So I was one of those people that I was a late bloomer as far as drinking goes. I didn't drink much in my late teens or early 20s. So I didn't start drinking until my late 20s. And I started very quickly drinking quite heavily. I found that for me, drinking was very key in helping me sleep and relax and deal with anxiety. And, you know, it worked really good in the beginning. It was great. It helped me sleep. It brought my anxiety down. It helped me cope with life's challenges and stuff like that. But it very quickly started getting out of control on me and really started taking over my life. I started losing friends. I stopped becoming quite so reliable at work. It was really starting to have a negative impact on my life. And my marriage at the time, it wasn't going so well. And that was one of the reasons I drank too. It was a very stressful relationship and it helped me cope in the beginning. But at that point, things just started to take a turn for the worse. And I had a lot of underlying trauma and a lot of underlying mental health concerns, including PTSD, anxiety, general anxiety disorder, and social anxiety. So in the beginning, drinking really helped me with that. It was a great social lubricant, helped me unwind and not feel quite so anxious. So it was really good in the beginning. And it worked until it stopped working. And after I got divorced in my mid-30s, everybody said, oh, you've got to go to AA, you've got to go to AA and do the AA thing. And I did that. I gave it a really good, honest effort. At the time, I did the best that I could. And I really learned. I was sober for 2 years in AA before I relapsed. And it's a great program. It works great for a lot of people. But for me, I found it didn't quite help me with some of those underlying mental health issues and some of the trauma from my past. So I did end up relapsing, and it was a learning lesson. And it was a learning lesson, and I really had to do some trial and error for me, and I had to go back out and do some more drinking. I had to do some more research. And, you know, again, it's a progressive disease, right? So once I relapsed, I was progressively drinking more and more. The consequences were getting worse. I was starting to mix prescription medications and alcohol, which doctors always say don't mix your medications and alcohol, and there's a very good reason for that. So it was almost like a blessing and a curse for me that I started mixing the two, because it really made me spiral that much quicker. And I think it was when I really started doing that people started to notice that there was something very seriously wrong. And you know, a lot of times families, they're in their own denial right along with the person that's in active addiction, right? And they overlook things, they don't want to see it, they don't know how to deal with it. And that's a huge part of the intervention process too, is that, you know, figuring out how do you approach the person? How do you approach them in a loving way and try to get them into recovery? And like I said, you know, it was getting really bad for me, and I was missing work. I ended up in the psychiatric unit at a Calgary hospital for a couple days, and I admitted myself because I was having a psychiatric meltdown. I was so anxious, and I started drinking because I was anxious, and it worked in the beginning, but towards the end of the addiction, I was just finding that it was actually intensifying that anxiety, right? So it was making it a million times worse than before I had started drinking. So it really started having the opposite effect. and I would blackout drink, and I was driving and doing all this crazy stuff, and having those conversations with police about my behavior. People were starting to notice. My friends were starting to notice and wondering, like, what is going on, right? Like I said, I was missing a lot of work. I couldn't go in, which was really not like me. People that knew me before I started drinking were like, this is the most responsible, reliable person on the face of the planet. I wasn't coping well. I couldn't do relationships. I couldn't keep my word to my family and friends. I was missing birthday parties. I was missing, special events for my friends and family, and I couldn't be physically or mentally present for them. I couldn't be present in my own life, right? You can't do that when you're blackout drunk and passing out every night. Like, it's not doable. And my family and friends really started to get concerned, and they did an intervention on me, and it was scary. And they came to me and said, we love you, and we're really concerned about what's going on, and you need to get into a treatment plan. And I think by that point I really started to see, because I always had put on this show of I'm all together and I'm responsible and I can do life and I can function and I can do this, that, and the other, and I always wanted people to see me as that person that had life all together and could do anything. And I had done a lot of great things in my life, but it wasn't happening. And I think that was what was concerning to people, and not to mention the personal cost it was having on my mental health and my physical health. And like, even talking to my doctor, like, he said, you can't keep doing this to your body's going to give out on you. And so when they came to me and said, you've got to stop doing this to yourself, you've got to get into a treatment program, and I did it. I literally walked away from my life and started working really hard on mental health. And like I said before, when I got sober the first time, I was sober almost 2 years before I relapsed. And the program of AA didn't work for me, and that's not to say it doesn't work for other people. It does, and people do really well in AA, and it's a great program. But I really needed to take a step back and focus on my mental health. I needed to be in touch with my doctors. I needed to be in touch with counselors. I needed to be in touch with support systems that could help me work through some of that trauma and some of the social anxiety and some of the generalized anxiety disorder that I was going through. Because obviously my coping mechanisms weren't working. And, we all do the best with what we have and the coping skills that we have, right? And so for me, when I was growing up, we didn't talk about these things. We didn't talk about anxiety. We didn't open up. We didn't say, well, I'm having some issues around trauma and abuse and physical violence and all that kind of stuff. We just didn't talk about it. People don't know how to talk about it, and they're afraid to talk about it because I think they're afraid of saying the wrong thing. Which is very fair. Other people just do the best that they can too. And I think that was a big realization in my life too. It was like I was so busy blaming everybody else, and how come they don't understand my anxiety, and how come they don't understand my trauma, and and that just led to more drinking, right? So when I got sober this time around, and I think that's another fallacy is I think people, they get into recovery and think it's all going to be sunshine and roses once you get sober. But you have to do the work. And I always tell everybody it's so important when you get into recovery to take that seriously. And, I know they talk in AA about the easier, softer way. We're always trying to find the easier, softer way. And sometimes the easier, softer way is to surrender to recovery and to do the work, right? And I know I'm that person, and I walk around now in recovery, and I'm that person that's walking around with a smile on my face, and I'm sure it irritates the hell out of people. And I've told clients that, I said, you know what? I'm not asking you to do anything I haven't done myself. And isn't it annoying that you see me walking around with this great big stupid grin on my face? And they're like, yeah, that's so annoying. And I said, don't you want to be as annoying as me? And a lot of them are like, yeah, I want to be that way. And for me, I didn't get to that point until the intervention was done. I surrendered and I got really willing to do the work. And I know that probably sounds really cliche in saying you've got to do the work, but at the end of the day, for me, that was the easier, softer way. And, you know, like I said, it's not all sunshine and roses when you get sober. Some days are really hard and some days really suck. But it's just, they're more life lessons along the way. And every opportunity where something comes up, even last night, I had a really trying, difficult incident, and that I had to face, I had to deal with, but now I feel like I have the tools and the skills to face those situations head on and to not run away and avoid, right? Because as somebody in recovery, addiction and alcohol and substances were my way of avoiding dealing with situations. So even when those hard situations come up, I can deal with them. It might not be easy, it might be hard, and it might suck in that moment, but like last night I walked away and I'm like, good for you. Good for you. It was hard, but good for you. And, you know, even in recovery, I'm able to watch other people succeed in their journey, in their recovery, and legitimately be happy for them no matter how they got there, whether it was moving to an island, going to AA, going to Smart Recovery, doing treatment, whatever you have to do to get there. It's a very personal choice. And today, I'm so happy and so grateful that people love me enough to set those boundaries, give me consequences for my actions. And I'm very lucky. I'm very blessed because, you know, I see how it could have been so much worse for me. I could have spent more time at the psychiatric unit. I could have spent time in jail. I could have ended up at the morgue. Right? There's really only 4 outcomes for people in addiction, and that's death, psych ward, prison, or death, right? Or getting sober, right? So what are your choices, really? So, and it's so hard for me to watch people that, you know, are in and out of recovery or never find recovery, because I feel what they feel. And I think that's what really motivates me to want to get in there and give to other people what was given to me, because people loved me. And interventions are the greatest act of love. And that is the greatest gift I've ever received. There's nothing that you could buy me that could be better than that, than love. And it really is. It's the ultimate act of love. And it's a message that we love you enough to not let you continue. You know, we love you so much. We don't want you to do this to yourself anymore. We don't want you to do this to our family. We want you back. We want our family back. And that's what an intervention does, is it really brings that person to that point in a place of love. So that's what I'm doing with interventions now. And that's why I'm so passionate about it. And interventions are just a way for people to come together as a family, come together as the friends, come together as people that love that person enough that they want to keep them alive and they want to see them well. They want to see them live up to their potential. And I've often heard it said that sometimes you only get one chance to do an intervention right. And that's why I feel like it's important to reach out and get professional help where you can find it. And that's why I'm really passionate about being that person that people can come to and trust with their family and trust with their loved ones. Because I really do want to pay it forward and give back what I was given. So, absolutely. So, interventions are a great way to do that. And important things about an intervention are having a scripted, controlled, facilitated meeting where people can have their voice. They can say, I love you, and in a non-judgmental, non-confrontational way, set their boundaries and say, these are my personal boundaries, and these are the consequences if you're not willing to go to recovery. And it can be, when it's done right, it can be very powerful for the family and for people going into recovery who are in addiction. And it can really be something that not only saves a person's life, but changes their life. And, you know, Hey everybody, sorry my live video cut out, but I was just wrapping it up anyways. So yeah, I wanted to just give you some last words and let you know that for those of you that are struggling in addiction, there is help out there. For those of you who have loved ones in active addiction, there is help out there for you as well. So I really encourage you, if you are struggling either with an addiction or with a family member in addiction, reach out for help. You can call me at 250-688-5392. And also too, if you want to book a free consultation for an intervention, I'm going to put a link in the comments video on the original live video. And I just want to thank you all for joining. I so appreciate you guys tuning in and listening to me talk. Sharing about recovery and addiction is something that I'm really, really passionate about. So I appreciate you guys supporting me and coming out tonight. And I wish everybody happiness and sobriety and safety tonight. So, and Thanksgiving is coming up, and I'm so grateful for all my people, and I'm so grateful for sobriety. I'm so grateful to have been intervened on. So for those of you that are struggling, just keep at it. Keep at it. Tomorrow's a new day. Wake up and be grateful and safe. I love you all.